Town of Tryon Board of Commissioners regular meeting for 21 April 2026. Let's have a moment of silence, folks. Bill, would you do the pledge? Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, agenda adoption. Yes, I'm gonna make it quiet. Okay, on the agenda, item 9 is recommended from last that we carry it to item I, India, on the 5 consent agenda. We went over that in the work session. And item J, we discussed handicap parking. We saw it, we'd like to approve it, and that will go in. So item 5 consent agenda goes now from A Alpha to J Juliet.
Just one point, can we make sure we say ADA on the agenda and not handicap?
Okay.
Please.
Downtown.
Now, excuse me folks, if y'all missing any pollen, it's in my head. Item 12, install financing for new vehicle for the water department, move it to May.
To May, we have not received all the papers from the bank at this time.
Okay.
Then item
13A.
13A, has a presentation for the downtown director. Staff recommends moving that to next month for presentation in light of the public hearings tonight.
Okay. And item 14.
Delete that item from the agenda.
For tonight, okay?
Those only changes staff made.
Any questions? Chair will entertain a motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, likewise, motion carries. Item 5, consent agenda. Chair will entertain a motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, likewise, motion carries. All right, we'll go ahead and have a public hearing on St. Luke's rezoning. I made some comments before everybody got here. If I can find some breath, I may make some more. Some of you have signed up to speak. Since there are only 15 of you, I'd like to hold this 2 minutes each, okay? And because many of you are here to speak, but you've already sent me an email or me a letter or someone else a letter, we've read those, I understand that. We will be civil, and I hate to say this to adults, but we will be civil or you will be removed. Sorry to say it like that, but that's just the way it is. Tomorrow, I love everybody in Tryon today, and I expect to do the same thing tomorrow. And that includes y'all in the ETJ too. We appreciate y'all bringing those dollars downtown. So, whatever happens here, I can confess to you that everybody's not going to be happy. But that's usually what happens in democracy. You don't have to always have winners and losers. You just have to have people that are happier than others. We live in a jewel, folks. And I have people tell me that all the time. We live in a jewel. We live in a place that other people pray for. And I have worked for the 21 years I've been here to preserve what we have. And what I was telling a while ago before some of you got here is, I don't want to see any more drugstores downtown empty. I don't want to see any more Adams Millis where they were going to put 50 apartments empty. I don't want to see any more St. Louis hospitals empty. There has to be a solution. And that solution will not make everybody happy. I understand that. I used to have a sidewalk in front of my house. That sidewalk is now covered with asphalt so we can have 2-lane traffic on my road.
Alan, excuse me, I apologize for the interruption. We can't hear you, we're trying really hard. Can you stand or?
Step inside. Step inside. Have we got more chairs over here? We got one. All this is to warm up the prelims. Can't stop being a crack coat. All right. First off, I'm going to start to see what the council has to say. Bill?
Hi. Wow. I wish we had this many people at every meeting, but thanks for coming out. I'll state right now, I'm in favor of the zoning change for two major reasons. We, as the old council, Bill Ingham, Bill Kroll, Chris Armbruster, we probably made a huge mistake allowing their zoning request to pass the way it did. We didn't put enough restrictions on it. We allowed industrial manufacturing at the hospital. There are no work hour restrictions. We could have a second shift machine shop up there next month. Cabinet shops, huge air handlers, tractor trailers coming with lumber daily, steel deliveries. All of this is permitted at this point in time. Changing this zoning will tighten it up tremendously. Yes, there'll be a restaurant. Yes, there'll be professional office buildings. And yes, there'll be arts and crafts studio space for rent. The building is, the reason Bill and Chris and I went forward was when they came to the town, the building roof was leaking. We've all seen what happens to historic buildings when they have leaky roofs. They eventually are gone. We did not want to see this. We worked with the only people that came forward willing to invest, and I guess they're probably between purchase, roof tiles, cleaning, 47 dumpsters hauled out of there of trash and garbage, new roof. The place is still just an empty shell. It really has little to no tax value at this point in time because the county looks at it as an empty, half dilapidated building, and that's how it's taxing it, $270,000 a year. That's a couple grand to the county and town. Wow. If we allow this new person to come along, they're gonna invest in the building. Immediately, the tax rate's gonna go up threefold. They're gonna in turn invest in the building. Tax rate goes up again. It's a controlled usage at this point in time. Everybody in the room will know what will happen in there from this day forward. As it stands now, anything could happen almost. As long as you're doing metal or wood, you can buy that compound and open business and go to work. And they can work a second shift. You can have trucks and backup alarms and just a lot of noise coming from manufacturing. And another bonus that we're getting from Tom and from Dorothy, they're agreeing to rezone the lot to the left residential. It is surrounded by houses, so it will become a residential lot. So if they want to develop that, sell off 3 or 4 lots, 2 lots, whatever, it's housing. The road's significant for the purpose. From what I was told, we can handle 100 and something cars an hour on Caroline Drive. Part of the road problem is the condos planted those trees in the road. So there are things that can be worked and fixed, but the greatest thing is these people are willing to help save an historic building with a history in this town. And like Alan was speaking about the drugstore, they carried that deconstruction so far that it's almost out of the price range to bring it back, because they have to put in fire escapes, elevators, sprinkler systems, and that's before they even start figuring out what they're gonna do. So the future of the hospital is kind of hanging in the air right now. And like I was saying, when we all leave out of here, and when this passes this month, next month, you'll all know what the future of that piece of real estate is. And it's a lot tighter and safer for the entire neighborhood, the town. That's my speech. Thanks. Oh, and your neighborhood said, whoa, we're okay with it. Or half of it did.
Yeah, so I have, this is a good idea, but I'm concerned about the location. I have a question for William. Will upzoning the general business conditional use, hurt any chance of it ever going back to R2? Because we've been taking out the live, you know, if we upzone it and we're taking out the live work part of it, will it, with the downzone from the General Assembly bill that they passed, will that ever affect it that it could not go back to R2? Like if it doesn't work for Tiffany and Josh, and someone else wants to buy it, can it ever be a live work again? Can we go back?
Sure. I mean, you can still downzone with the owners at their request. It's not like it's prohibited. And zoning is always subject to change over time. It's a legislative decision that the board makes from time to time. It can always change.
I just know with the General Assembly bill, they made it a lot harder for people to be able to make changes.
It made it harder on, I think that's gonna be fixed, but in the meantime, it's still on the books. But it's, it made it harder for towns, but not for owners. An owner can always request whatever zoning designation, they might get it, they might not, but they can always request it. Even if it constitutes downside.
And I think the concern there were the people coming in wanting to develop, but then they become the owner.
Right.
Listen to people that I listen to saying, okay, you can't downzone this, you can't do that, you can't do that, and now we're gonna build it there whether you like it or not. That's what I heard talking to other elected officials in different places. Maybe the wrong interpretation.
Basically, I agree with that. That's it.
No, but the people who never come here and tell you what you can do within reason. I'm willing to listen to reason. Okay, I'm sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
no, that's okay. Okay, so that was one concern, because if it doesn't work out with them and they leave and someone else comes along and wants to buy it, would there be any issues? So Bill, you were saying the parcel that they split, that Dorothy and Tom have, is gonna go back to R2?
They've agreed to go back to R2. Because as it is now, it still falls under the same zoning. So they could build a big warehouse and start constructing, machine shop.
So it seems like she's shaking.
She wouldn't do it in a drop it for any reason, because they love the piece of property.
Well, that's her.
Well, just to clarify, conditioned on this rezoning going through because we care deeply about this historic landmark and we want to see it put back in use. Conditioned upon that zoning going forward, even though I'm not happy about rezoning it to R-2, we would apply as correctly, and Attorney Morrison can expound on that. We would submit the rezoning application for the back 2.34 acres to be zoned R-2. So if the GBCU General District designation would no longer apply to the 2.34 acres. But that is conditioned upon their rezoning being approved.
I'm sorry. So I'm worried that this is kind of, it's gonna create like another district in town. You know, we have the downtown area, which is the heart of a community. And that's where we really wanna fill up restaurants and shops, you know, and along Trade Street, on the outskirts of it. And I'm concerned this is gonna, you know, like Soho or Bucktown, you know, it's gonna create like another little district over there. And it's kind of squeezing like a mini mall into 2.34 acres. You know, 27 shops and a food court, a nice food court, but, you know, it's squeezing a lot into a small space, which is really gonna disrupt that area. So, I mean, I don't know if Josh and Tiffany are open to reducing the footprint at all. I mean, I know a lot of concerns that residents have, or, you know, the extra, all the extra cars and parking and noise, and it becoming too big of a space with a restaurant, and all those shops. Are they here? Yeah. I mean, it would be great if, because I know so many people are so upset about this, it would be great if, you know, if we did postpone this another month and they got together and talked with those residents and kind of came up with a solution on how can we make this work. That would make, everyone's not gonna be happy about it, but to try to make it work for the community. Another thing I'm concerned about is it's setting a precedent, you know, having, so now we have another, you know, general business, conditional use, new district in Tryon, in a neighborhood. I was thinking about other neighborhoods around town, like is there a building that, you know, someone could come in and go, well, you know, I wanna switch this building over and make it a microgrid. That's what I was thinking, you know, in Godshaw, that, you know, beautiful church that had to close down over the summer. So I looked up online, you know, is it for sale? And, you know, they have great parking, and they have an elevator, and they have a commercial kitchen, and they have, you know, ADA parking, and they have restrooms, and they have everything you need to start a business. It's a high price, but I mean, who's to say that's not gonna then go happen there? Someone can come in and go, well, this happened in Gillette Woods, you know, an area that people move to so they can be feeling like they're in the woods, but also still close enough to town. So that's just another concern I have with it. Sorry, I have this, my printer didn't work tonight. I'll let Tracy ask some questions if she has some.
First of all, I think the current owners have done a phenomenal job, especially on the outside of the building. I think it was a huge, huge eyesore. But I have a couple of concerns. I do want to see something happen there. I mean, I've heard a lot of things that, oh, well, you know, the traffic. Well, if the traffic's a problem now, then the traffic needs to be addressed based on what it's like now. So I think irrespective of whether this goes through, you know, I've already spoken to the chief of police to say, let's measure what that traffic is and see if there's a real problem. You know, to see if it rises to the level of doing any type of traffic calming measures. So then there's also other things, but one of the things that Julie mentioned was this setting a precedence, and it's kind of what Bill said early on, is when the prior council approved the zoning change back in, 2019, I think they probably did rush to approve it too quickly without the guardrails in place. And as you said, it could have become a real, a real issue. So in terms of just, more of a 14, 16-hour a day operation. And that puts it, I just want our council to be very careful when we approve stuff, that we don't just say, let's approve it and then figure out sort of where the guardrails are, that let people use common sense. No, it needs to be something that is very tightly written and very well defined, where there is no judgment. Because that really bothers me, that we, we'll know it when we see it, kind of thing. And I would never approve something that is, we'll know it when we see it. That just, it goes against everything I've done. And I think it does leave a future council in a lurch. I've also heard, people knowingly bought by a hospital, so they should have known that something would be there. Yeah, but they didn't know the prior council was gonna change things. They bought as is. And Julie mentioned the church. People bought knowing that there's a church there. What if we go in and in our infinite wisdom, decide, well, we'll let a bar go in, a bar or the old Torch Club go in there, for people who remember way back in the day, right? I mean, I just want whatever we do to be well thought, with the appropriate guardrails, and we don't rush into anything without knowing what it is. And then I guess I have a lot of, not concerns, but questions related to the financial viability of the construction. Because I looked at that property back in 2018 and ran from it, because I'm like, my pockets aren't that deep, and I don't know going into it what I want to build, so I couldn't get a loan to build something because I didn't have a business plan. But what is it? Is there lending in place, or is there deep enough pockets to self-fund the construction? I don't know, but that's important, I think. Then also, I don't want to have another 2009, 10, 11 where something happens and everybody's funding dries up. And, that's what happened to Adams Mill, from what I understand.
Twice.
And now it's sitting there and no one's keeping the property up. So again, I don't have a crystal ball, but if something happens, where are the guardrails there? How's that property gonna be maintained until, the next crisis, kind of resolves and we, they're able to build. So I just want, and not that any of that's gonna happen, but you have to prepare for it. And as a, kind of a planner, I wanna make sure, if something happens, I wanna make sure that the town and the neighbors, especially the neighbors, are adequately protected, and it doesn't become the eyesore that it was pre-current owners. I mean, they've done a great job, and I don't think anybody could say anything other than that, but you don't want it to come back to that state. And so, again, I just don't know. I mean, I would want to be comfortable that there's enough money either available or already in play so that if something happens, that at least the outside is maintained at the current state. Not that, you know, during building, you're gonna have pallets of stuff, wood, whatever on site, but I don't wanna see something happen and all of a sudden, you know, that stuff get laying in around the property for 4, 6, 8 months. So, that's it. I do look forward to hearing people's argument, or not arguments, their
Debates.
Debates. Please, let's not argue.
You got anything else?
Not right now.
Okay. That being said, I'm gonna call on you if I can read your name. Remember, I was an English teacher, and I can read most names, but I've already found one I'm having a hard time deciphering. So, anyway, you have 2 minutes. Okay? Becky Oliver.
I really didn't want my name being the first one, but that's how it came. Good evening. My name's Becky Oliver. I am born and bred here in BOC County. It's been said that commissioners of this town don't listen to outsiders, but I know all you, except for Miss Julie. So I do know that you listen, because I know you by heart. So, I may live in Columbus, but my alma mater is Tryon High. I graduated from Tryon High. I do most of my business in Tryon. My mother worked in the old St. Luke's. She worked there for many years, and the hospital had lots of people coming in and out. There were lots of traffic coming in and out. There was ambulances. There was everything going in and out. We also had, after that quit, then it went to DSS and also Meals on Wheels and lots of other little places in there. So it has been a place of business for many, many years. Then, all of a sudden, it just went to hell in a handbasket and nobody took it on until Tom and Dorothy. And Tom and Dorothy have spent many thousands of dollars getting that prepared. And the countless hours, I mean, you couldn't pay them for countless hours. And Bill, you took just about everything I was gonna say out of my mouth. You just took every wind out of my sails. So, I don't know if the residents that are against this are worried about grease traps and the parking and everything, but you know, we had a really beautiful hotel called Oak Hall. And they downed that, and now they've put condos in there, which, you know, I don't want to see the hospital done that way. Okay, so I hope that you will vote for this to pass, please.
Thank you. Chris Lamacus.
Yeah.
By the way, until you start talking, I don't push this button, okay? You get your full 2 minutes.
To me?
Anybody.
Okay, I'll be brief. I live in Gillette Woods. I don't live right by the hospital, but I take that road every day. And to me, I'm just concerned about the danger of that road. Right now, it's, you know, sometimes you take your life in your hands, turning it. People are walking up and down the road. It's just very dangerous at that curve where the condos are. You know, it'd be nice to have, obviously, something in that building, but I don't think at the expense of the charm of the neighborhood and then there are the safety issues that I have a big concern with. I like Tracy's idea of the traffic study, because I hear that there are not a lot of cars that go up and down Carolina Drive every day, and that's not my experience. So I live there and I see it. So, you know, maybe if there's something to be done with the, you know, how people are gonna be coming and going, So like both, so they're not entering and exiting, using that curve. That would make a difference. But also just the fact, people are gonna be drinking, there's alcohol involved. I'm concerned for my neighbors down there, who are, I think, mostly retired in those condos, about the noise, and, so I would be against I want something there, but I don't think it's the most appropriate, thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Charlie McGee.
I live at 101 by Walden Lane. There's probably half a dozen empty storefronts already in town. And every restaurant, as far as I know, already has a bar in it. Not that I'm against bars. Maybe a bed and breakfast would be good in there. And I guess that's all I have to say. I'm against rezoning.
Okay.
And the Pinecrest Inn is empty also.
Yeah, we all keep hoping this is gonna work. Marie? The folks, if I do this, that means 1 minute's gone, you have one left, okay?
Okay, I'm Marie King. I live in White Oak. Our town is moving. I'm sorry, Gillette Wood, you have more and more houses in your place that used to be only people coming during the summer from up north. So you have more traffic. The project is an upscale restaurant, which we do not have in this area. It's not going to be the drunk coming on Saturday to have a shot. It is upscale restaurant and shop. I don't think it's going to take away from the main street. On the contrary, it will bring here people who are usually not here. They will have two places to go. They will go downtown, shop, instead of going to TIAC to do all the shopping and the suave things that they are there, that they have sucked out of our area. I think it is a very good idea. The traffic, it's something that all towns that are growing are facing. Put whatever needs to be done, but if we want to have a viable town, we need to grow. You cannot project saying, I want a security, that everything is going to work well. If there's a catastrophe, we're all in the same basket. So you cannot say, I want to be sure that if something happens, it's not going to revert to be nothing. You can't do that. You have to have faith.
Thank you. Just thank you. Maria will tell me, when I had surgery, I don't know how many years ago, I'm claustrophobic and they didn't give me enough stuff to keep me down. So she kept me down. I still got her, no kidding. Esther, this is gonna be interesting. Esther and I were gonna talk for just a minute this morning, 43 minutes.
I think it was 54.
Thank you all for taking the time to listen to everyone's concern. Anyone I've spoken to has not been opposed to doing something with the property. But I'll speak for myself since I'm the owner. What I don't want to see happen, and I know a lot of my neighbors agree, is to have another project come in that has high hopes, but not an ability to actually deliver on a promise. Unfortunately, just regardless of what the Eastleys did, and they did a great job with the restoration that they've done so far, they're the sellers. They'll have no further role or input on what happens next. If this were to pass, one would hope that the new buyers would be able to execute. But there's a lot, like A lot of people have seen that building and a lot of people have walked, myself included. I think it's not a fair comparison to look at what it's going to cost to have the renovations done to that property and say that, the Owens Pharmacy building is worse. I don't believe, even if you have to bring everything up to code, it'll be less than what's going to be required for St. Luke's. But what's more important is the responsibility of this body, and that is to plan out the future of Tryon and what will be best for its businesses and for its residents. And it's a really difficult position to be in, and we acknowledge that. So hopefully through this process, we can find a path forward for that property. I do not believe this is it. I do not believe a restaurant and bar of that scale inside a residential neighborhood is an appropriate use. I don't think we can reasonably expect that a manufacturing business is going to move in tomorrow and start operating 24/7. And if it does, there are nuisance laws that are in place that can be applied. So there are tools to address that type of issue. But I would like to see a full plan, a full proposal, and today we don't have that. We have a sketch of an idea of a dream, and we have to stop zoning and spots for dreams that may or may not make their way. Thank you for your time and for your consideration.
Thank you. Olivia? Yeah, I'm still mad at you. But your kids aren't running track and you didn't run in high school.
This is not a running body. I did play soccer though. They are running. They are running. So thank you for taking the opportunity to listen to the concerns, questions, and wishes of your neighbors, constituents, and those with a vested interest in Tryon. I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been in the ETJ, got to deal with the whole forced annexation. So I've been on that side of the fence as well. I'm curious how many people here actually live in the city limits? More than I thought. So as a current resident of downtown Tryon, I also remember when St. Luke's was a bustling building full of activity and walking into all the offices to sell Girl Scout cookies. And I remember when it sat vacant, other than someone removing anything of value from it while the kudzu ran rampant. And all the trees around it were cut down. Over the past few years, I've not only heard from Dorothy Easley about all of the work they've done, it's been refreshing to see new trees growing, kudzu being fought back, and the building coming back to life. As a resident of downtown Tryon, I'm able to sit on my porch and listen to the music, and sometimes the play rehearsals from Rogers Park right over here. I can also hear the bands and the singers from the town square in front of Railside Grill. I can even hear the musical events that happen at Tryon Fine Arts Center in the Fitzgerald. We also hear the work that goes on at Stotts Ford, the announcements over the loudspeakers, and we always know when a vehicle is being painted. Every time there is an emergency, we hear the fire trucks. And one of the best noises that we've heard over the years are the announcements from Tryon Elementary and the children playing on the playground at what was formerly Forbes Preschool. We hear motorcycles on Sunday with their loud motors and radios playing all types of music as they ride through town. We have smelled wonderful food coming from the variety of restaurants. And when we purchased our home and the property, we were aware of the sights, the sounds, and the smells all around us. We knew that we were in very close proximity to all of these businesses, a school, a fire station, and we had neighbors on 3 sides of us.
Okay,
this is
wrap it up.
Part of the research we did. So being in the position that I'm with my job, I receive calls and emails about inquiries, much about Tryon, what is open, what restaurants are available, where can I go eat, how much time should I allot to spend shopping and eating in Tryon. So this project will bring people to Tryon, and you don't have to worry about them going to that one little district over there and staying in that one little district. They want to go to Lantern, they want to go to Tryon, they want to go everywhere. I feel like it's a great project, and I have a lot more to say, but thumbs up. I think it should be approved.
Thank you. Dorothy?
Do
Do I get an extra handicap because I talk slowly?
No, ma'am, sorry.
I'll try to go as fast
I
as
listen
can.
slowly, so okay.
Nice try.
I'm the property owner of 330 Carolina Drive. That's easily a public practice. My family's been in North Carolina for almost 300 years. I've said it before, I'll say it again. North Carolina history and architecture are very, very important to me. This rezoning conditional use is consistent with the general business district use of the historic uses of this property. I've heard frequent reference to R-2, that single-family dwelling. Just to be super, super clear for those of you who are new here, this property has never been used as a single-family residence. It was a 50-bed hospital with 200 to 300 part-time and full-time staff going up and down Carolina Drive, which I learned from the zoning board director, handles 112 cars per hour. That's what it was designed for. My husband and I were asked by 2 commissioners in 2019, and Bill Craw was one of the commissioners that also supported it, to buy and save this property. What the town of Tryon does is fuse with responsible private investment. In 2013, respectfully, town of Tryon made a mistake. It is never going to make that mistake again. And yes, the zoning amplification of what we're currently under GBCU allows us to do a lot more. But you gotta know your people. As my commercial law professor once said, you can write the best contracts in the world, but you gotta know the people that you're dealing with. So get to know these people, because I've reviewed their application. They respect the historic significance of this Polk County landmark. I'm gonna wrap it up. I know I'm getting hooked. The Tryon Zoning Board and the Tryon Commissioners in 2020 showed the vision and the courage to allow this rezoning for responsible private investment. And I urge you to demonstrate that same vision and courage. You can impose the restrictions, and under Tryon scrutiny, you can infuse it with the necessary private investment to bring this historic landmark back to its always designed, always intended purpose, which is to benefit all of Tryon and all the people of Polk County. And thank you so much.
Time count. Tom Rollo.
I just want to make a couple of points. I'm not going to use two minutes to do that. Thank you for the opportunity to say something. I've heard a few people say, I want the building occupied, but not with this. I don't want it to be used for this. That's another way of saying, I'll know it when I see it. Well, there has always been food service in that building. Everyone who's looked at that building had an aspect of their plan that included food service. I don't care if you make it condominiums. If you want to make it condominiums, they're still going to want to put food service in there. And what are you going to do with some place like Pinecrest? Pinecrest, is that commercial or is that residential? Because it's in a residential area, but there's a restaurant, there's food service. That old hospital has one of the largest kitchens in the county, and it shouldn't be sitting idle. So, and the buyers seem well qualified. You're never going to eliminate risk, investment risk. That's for the buyer to decide. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Brittany Tillman.
Hi there. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I'm here in support of the project, not just as a resident, but as someone whose career began in restaurant operations. including training with Disney where I learned firsthand how thoughtfully developed spaces can transform a community. This proposal isn't just about adding a restaurant or a few shops, it's about crafting a place where people can gather together, where family can spend time together, where our local economy has a chance to grow. Right now, many of us have to drive an hour to places like Asheville just to enjoy a different dining experience or a small night out. That means our time and our dollars are leaving this community. By supporting this project, we're keeping that energy here, supporting local jobs, increasing tax revenue, and giving residents more of a reason to stay and invest in a place we call home. I understand the concerns about change, but thoughtful growth doesn't take away from town's character, it strengthens it. Done right, this can enhance our quality of life while still preserving what we call this area special. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherry Sandler?
Hi, so first I would like to say that when the property was sold by Polk County, they assigned it as a residential zoning because they felt that that conformed with the surrounding use and that would have been nice for the neighborhood. So in 2019, when it was rezoned, the applicants or the current owners initially had put forth a application to make it just straight general business. But that application was rejected and they were told to revise it to be more specific with conditional use. And they said residential live-work unit with the gun manufacturing and an office. It's very nice of them to offer to make their retained parcel as residential again, but the Article 5 of the zoning ordinance says that if you no longer have a valid use under your conditional use, that it will revert back to its previous zoning. It says that in Article 5. So by them splitting off the parcel and selling the building, the remaining parcel would have become invalid under the current zoning conditional use. So it would have.
No, you want me to clip?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were gonna stop.
No.
Okay, so let me just jump to this question. Has anyone considered the thought that the parcel that's being sold with the building could fall under a classification of spot zoning? Maybe the town attorney can answer that. Because the surrounding use would be all residential, either residential or multifamily, and this is one small parcel that's being changed to a full-blown commercial use case within a residential neighborhood.
I don't personally think it's spot zone, but I can more debate here, you know.
What's a spot zone?
Okay.
What's spot zone?
Spot zoning
2 minutes.
is giving preference to one parcel that's different from the surrounding use. And case history has shown that these have been overturned in the past.
That's a question for the attorneys, so that's what we're looking at. Ron McCrutherton. Sorry.
Okay, good enough. It's often mispronounced as correctly pronounced, so no offense. I live at 10 Hillsbrook Road. I'm the current president of the Gillette Woods Association, and we represent about 300 properties, about 200 owners, and about 200 residences. I will say that Gillette Woods was intended to be, and has been since the association was created in the early 1940s, an entirely residential neighborhood. Of the 650 plus or minus acres in Gillette Woods, there are only 2 non-residential tracts, the St. Luke's Hospital and the water plant. The water plant has some unique engineering considerations that had to be there. I would say that a hospital designed and built in the 20s and its impact on the neighborhood is quite different than some of the commercial uses that we're talking about now. The property was never intended as an alternative business or commercial development. I've heard all the other arguments. You're right about our survey, it was sort of ambivalent. What did come through was the most significant concern was safety and traffic and safety. And I think I can shed some light on that, some factual information. We had a lot of complaints last year about speeding, and we asked the Sheriff's Department to conduct a study, which they did, and one of their sites was just up the curb, about 40 yards from the back entrance to the hospital. The Sheriff's Office concluded that there was not really a speeding problem. There's always going to be some violations, but it wasn't excessive in my view. I think maybe what it meant was we ought to reconsider the speed limit, because if you've ever stood out there on that curve when a dump truck comes by at 25 miles an hour, you understand the problem. I want to point out lighting. There's been a lot said about night skies compliant lighting. That's great. That helps the wildlife significantly. I will say that that does not prevent you from seeing the lights. And I'm concerned, unless you put some more restriction on the proposed lighting, that this is going to be like a convenience store and a gas station out in the middle of the rural countryside. I've got
time, sir. You had 2 minutes.
All right. I will just say that there are Gillette Woods covenants on some of the properties that are being considered here, and you can comment on whether or not those trump the zoning ordinances.
Thank you. Josh Stahl.
Alrighty, I'm gonna slim this down a little bit. So good evening, thank you for your time. My name is Josh, and alongside Tiffany, we appreciate the opportunity to appear before you regarding the recovery room proposed for the former St. Luke's Hospital. We appreciate the planning board's thoughtful review and their recommendation of approval with conditions. We have taken those conditions seriously and have already begun working through them in a practical and responsible way. Over the past several months, we have approached this process with transparency, patience, and willingness to address every concern raised, and that remains our position tonight. Use of the property. This property has a long history of non-residential use as a hospital, institutional facility, and Meals on Wheels location. Our proposal restores a historic structure and returns it to a productive use in a way that is consistent with that history, while placing clear operational safeguards around it. The big picture, this project represents restoration of an important historic building, new local investment, jobs and economic activity, support for other small businesses, a destination that benefits Tryon rather than leaving a vacant or uncertain future for the site. We're not asking for unrestricted use. We're asking for a conditioned responsible approval, and we have shown throughout this process that we're willing to meet conditions and solve problems. So at this point, concerns have been heard, conditions have been proposed, and solutions have been developed. We believe this project is a strong fit for the property, respectful of the neighborhood, and beneficial to the town. So tonight we respectfully ask for your support to move forward. We're ready to invest in this building, comply with the conditions, and create something Tryon can be proud of. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Tanya Walls.
So first of all, I live right across the street, but everyone has already spoken on all the points, the traffic, the dangers, the smells, the odors, the noise, all of those things. So I'm going to speak as a realtor, because I am a local realtor, and bring up a few points that I see. So one that I would see is we've speculated what can come out of this. We've speculated that you could get extra taxes out of this. We've speculated that it's going to bring jobs, that it's going to be a great place for someone to be. All pure speculation. However, the impact to the property surrounding that will hear that noise, that odor, that extra traffic, that can decrease those. I also chair the Polk County Board of Equalization and Review, so it is kind of my job to talk about problems like this in concerns with tax assessment values. And we have had that come to issue, not particularly in Tryon, but in Polk County. So those are factual. Those are absolutely things that are going to affect the values and affect those neighbors, and then essentially lose some tax roll off that. I know personally I'll be applying to lower my value when that happens. I also wanted to make a fact where I believe it was said about the covenants. So there's 7 lots in that original lot. There's 7 Gillette Woods lots. Those lots have covenants on them. I can find nothing that has ever removed those covenants. And by your own zoning ordinance, you are to basically honor those covenants. You do not abate those covenants. And in fact, that it's between the zoning ordinance and the covenants, whichever one is more restrictive will govern for that. When I looked at the new survey, as it's been cut off, I see from overlapping that it looks like some portion of that land that was previously those Gillette Woods lots is now given to the hospital. So there is still land again with covenants on it that Gillette Woods has not abated those covenants, and the covenants say single family residential. So even the survey seems to overlap right now. So basically those are some realtor points that I wanted to point out. Thank you.
Thank you. Leslie?
Leslie Turner.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I am about 600 yards from the hospital, so I'm very close, and I've heard what everyone has said, but when you're right there in it, it's very different. And I applaud Dorothy and Tom for all the hard work they've done. They have improved the property. If this does pass, I hope Josh and Tiffany love the property as much as they have and shown the interest. But I am concerned about the property value of our homes with a restaurant and bar. And I'm worried about the insurance premiums even possibly going up. I did some research on that, and our property insurance may go up because we're closer to a restaurant. I also worry about the water usage. I want something done with the property like everyone else. I see it very fitting that talking to Advent Health and maybe having hospital offices, doctor's offices in there, to me would be a better use, because when we bought our home 30 years ago, we knew the hospital was there, but we didn't purchase it knowing that a restaurant and bar would be there. I'm not against the shops as much as I am the restaurant and the bar. Also, during the planning board, they were talking about doing a DOT of the parking lot because of the number of parking spaces that are required, and I just wondered if that had been done and y'all received a report on that.
Thank you. Jeremy Moore.
Yes, sir. I think Tim was out there counting spots last week, weren't you, Tim? So, I'm the broker that's representing the property for sale. And for those of you who remember Jerry Thomas, I'm the guy that got him out. Okay? We got Jerry Thomas out, covered with kudzu, using 7 gallons of water per minute because he didn't have a meter and he was bypassing it and stealing the water from the town of Tryon. Yeah, hundreds of gallons a day. I remember. We've had over 80 showings on the property in 3 years from all over the country, including a guy from China. Okay? We could have had hotels come in here before you today. We could have had a drug rehab, i.e. fentanyl, crystal meth, drug rehab in here today presenting that they want to rehab there. And when they get out, where are they going to go? Gillette Woods? I don't know. Just asking. Schools, wedding venues, you name it. They all have a restaurant element, every single one of them. Churches have deed restrictions. I've sold a number of churches, and normally they have deed restrictions. This has always been a commercial use building, i.e. hospital. You've heard it tonight already. We're not changing the use in a bad way. In fact, I believe Josh and Tiffany are bringing something beneficial to the town. And I think many of the folks here will be the first ones to go and try the food.
Thank you. Okay. We'll close the public hearing.
Mayor, I just wanted to point out, before you close it, that your idea, a lot of ordinances do require meetings with neighborhood as part of the process of development. And so, if there's any thought that you want to make this decision at the next meeting or at a later time, then it would be appropriate to leave the hearing open and recess it. But if you want to make a decision tonight, then you can close the public hearing right before you make the decision.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say, exactly what you said. So that's been done. You want to close the public hearing? No, sir. You had your chance to sign up.
Sign there, I had to sign someplace else, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, you can still speak later when we have open. You get to speak tonight. Now, if that's the question. What do you say? We had this, we closed it. Let the gentleman speak or not.
You can reopen.
Yeah, do that.
Okay, we'll reopen it for you.
Female signing up, yeah.
All right, you got 2 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna speak, I also am a realtor, just like these two other folks here, and I think that everything is relative. I'm here to speak for myself. I live in Gillette Woods. I think that property is less than a mile into Gillette Woods, and I don't think that that's gonna have a major traffic impact. That road in itself is very dangerous, but 85%, maybe it's the time that I come and go from my house, that I drive down that road, there's either no cars or maybe one car that passes by. And I don't think that that's gonna have a major impact. It's not like it's gonna be a quarry in the middle of Gillette Woods and there's gonna be trucks coming back and forth. I also think that it's important that we open ourselves a little bit to investors. It's not a new development, it's something that's existing, that's there. And it's not an eyesore because the owners have more or less kept it, but it's been vacant for a very long time. So how long are we gonna let these types of buildings sit without somebody that wants to come in and invest and help the community and help everybody that's associated with it, like restaurants or people that are gonna work here? Or I just see it as a complete positive all around. It's not a new thing, it's something that's existing, that's vacant, that's been there for a long time vacant. And how long, if everybody doesn't get on board and trying to figure it out, then it's just gonna stay vacant there for a long time. That's not gonna be good for anybody, for the town or anybody else. In terms of some comments that have been made, it's very hard to guarantee that everything is gonna go a certain way. There's always risk in whatever anybody, an investor does, so we can't predict the future. That's only God that can predict the future and how everything's gonna go. But I see it as a win-win for the community. I don't see anything negative about it.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you for letting me
Please,
speak.
for the record, your name?
Max, and the last name is Ricard, R-I-C-A-R-T. Thank you.
And y'all do realize there's 3 restaurants within 50 yards of the kitchen at St. Luke's. The Mexican, Nana's, IGA. They're all within 50 yards of the hospital property.
What is that?
But if people are saying the smell, the odors,
We don't smell that.
yeah, you won't smell this place either, speaker.
I will.
But that sounds great.
But it just has.
Ladies and gentlemen, I asked you nicely, okay? Good news for people sitting up here and out there. Now,
you all received letters that came in the original packet that went out on Friday. I did have some that came in after it went out. I have attached them, so if you all would just at some point vote to include these into the official minutes. So that way they're accounted for along with the others that were in the original packet.
Got it.
You wanna do that?
Thank you. Now, I'm gonna close the public hearing and then ask the board, do you wanna vote on this tonight, or do you wanna move it to the May?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Because I'm really on the fence on this, because my mother worked at that hospital many, many, many years ago, and so I have kind of it's got a special place for me, but I know things that, something has to go there. But I also want to be aware of what the neighbors want as well, so I'm trying to balance that. And if I can, I would like to ask the potential buyers if they would be willing to sit down in a meeting, a facilitated meeting, not a free-for-all, kind of like we're trying to do tonight, with the neighbors and talk about their concerns and maybe come up with a solution. And I don't know if I should address that to you, Jeremy, and you talk, I mean, they are your client, so I don't know how you want to.
Janice is their agent.
Oh, okay. I mean, is that something that,
What was the question?
would your client, you and your clients be willing to sit down in a facilitated discussion? Maybe we could rent out the depot or use the depot to just talk about some of the concerns. And I don't know if that's a good idea, a bad idea from their perspective, but.
Are you thinking about like 3 Gillette Wood board members and them and 1 or 2 people from town, and there's only be, 2 of us, so it's not a quorum. But, having everybody in town show up again is just, it's
Not
just a
everyone.
rerun.
No, just
Condos too.
the
Yeah.
people that are mostly
You
concerned.
probably need about 5 people, maybe 6.
Right.
Have it right here in this room.
I mean, is anybody in this room that has a better idea for the building right now? Because residential
And
would
you got
cost
the money for
$5
And the money. And the
million.
money.
That's the problem.
To turn it into residential.
That's what
Anyway, to get grants for, senior housing.
Who's gonna get those grants?
Who's
The
gonna?
town, I don't know.
We're trying to keep our water and sewer up.
Low
Okay,
income
folks.
housing, it's expensive to live here.
Okay.
The question was asked. Realtor and potential buyers and sellers. Are you willing to meet with X people to try to work this out? I don't care who the X people are, but I'm with Bill. If you come in here, maybe 3 from each side, 4 from each side, 5 from each side, whatever, make it balanced. But listen to both sides. Because listen to what I have heard for the last month. You need to do this, 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 and this. And then we hear, oh, there's not enough money to do. We know there's not enough money to do that. We're well aware of that. We're also aware that when you had Hurricane Helene, nothing happened to the hospital. So the funds aren't going out like they used to for restoration and save history and things like that, because there are too many other problems. Would you tell me 1.2 billion we had that came from the state?
That's what the state's gonna.
And that's not gonna cover it, folks. The day I was out at Harmon Field after the storm, I said, we probably got $500,000 more work. Before we get through out there, we'll be closer to 2 million than we were $500,000. Because there were things that were damaged that had to be torn down that I didn't know. And the water went up so fast and destroyed so fast. So what I'm just telling you is, it's the dollar sign. I made something like I promised today. I said, if the vote comes tonight, it'll go down. You need to get people to talk to each other. I'm as open as you can get. I promise you. And if you have 2 people on this board, 1 pro and 1 negative, maybe 1 of each of those needs to be in there. Preferably, I don't want to have anything to do with it. That's your money and your potential building and your business. The best thing I can do is pat whoever knows it on the back and say, great job. Yes,
I have a question about that idea. So if we were, as residents, to speak with them and we came to some conclusions like, and we had promises of, oh, I'll only have bands on Saturdays. Well, in reality, they started having bands twice a week. What is the enforcement? If we make any type of agreements, who enforces that? Or is it just a gentleman handshake and we're out of our luck?
Yeah. Something like what you just said, whoever you were, the voice.
Like,
Yeah, you can always add that to the conditions.
yeah.
I mean,
And I think you can add that to conditions
and then what would be the town's, like, they break them, what's the process at that point?
But folks, what I see here, and you're asking a valid question, but what I see here is you want to find every crack and crevice and pack it. You can't do that. If you do, nobody's ever gonna come in and buy that building and do anything with it. Nobody. I bought a house in 1983 for $50,000. Someone said, you're nuts. It is now worth $900,000. But I worked on it for 29 years restoring it. Nobody put a dime in it. I didn't have any grants. And we buy stuff, I'd fix it. We buy stuff and I fix it. And that's the same type of thing that's going there. I'll have to give you this, Dorothy. It looks good from the outside. When y'all got it, there was crap stuck outside, left out there in piles. That's what frightens me. To go back there again. I look at a drugstore downtown for rent. Could be done this, and this. How much money? We had somebody to come here and make a presentation to put 49 small condos and lofts into Adams Villas. I saw the plans. I saw it worked out with. I saw it plans that they were doing somewhere between a $70 and $100 million project in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Somebody pulled the funding, and it's now going kudzu. That's what I don't want. Now, for the people who are selling, for the people who are buying, and for the people who live there, I'm gonna give you the best advice I can give you. Everybody's gonna have to give some. How much, I don't know, but everybody's gonna have to give. Loosen that rope, because if you don't, it ends up around somebody's throat, and everybody walks away, and I don't want that either.
Let me ask just a clarifying question. Do you want the sellers to be present? Because when we were buying the property, Gillette Woods leadership actually reached out to us, and we, as buyers, met with them and talked through with the Gillette Woods leadership. They met us at Open Road. It was a very amicable, non-threatening meeting, and we talked everything through.
What I'm gonna
and
tell
they
you,
felt more
Dorothy,
comfortable.
I'm not trying to dictate to you. I'm just giving possibilities out there. You're on my track team, and I have to make you run 4x4. You're adults. You know what we want. We know what you want. And as I said earlier tonight, nobody's gonna be 100% pleased, okay? That's just the nature of the beast. In a democracy, everybody slings mud, everybody gets mud on them, okay? Let's just sit down and sort of act like adults, and I don't care whether the seller, the buyer, whoever needs to get there, but make it balanced on the two sides, please.
I'd like to make a motion that we postpone this till the May meeting, if you ladies are in agreement.
Okay.
But contingent on something happening.
Yes.
Not just me coming, reading more and coming back.
Exactly. Think about that while we're letting them speak.
So if I may answer her question. So we're not prepared to make a commitment tonight on, yes, we will meet. But what I will say is every single time it gets deferred, it's an additional 30 days. Jeremy can attest that 8 months ago was when I looked into this. I've been doing research for 8 months. Thousands of hours of research put into this. The business plan is solid. It's not gonna fail. It's good for Tryon. There's many of other smaller cities that would love something like this.
Agreed.
That's all I want to say.
And I would like to clarify one thing for the record. The GBCU designation runs with the land. We would oppose any forced redesignation to R-2 in that property. This is the back children's library, has never been used as residential. So, conditioned upon the approval of their rezoning with the conditions that the commissioners deem appropriate, we would agree to R-2, but we would oppose vigorously and he forced rezoning back to R-2 when it's not official, and by the way, it is being used as a workshop, the back property.
Okay.
Thank
Now,
you.
where I am tonight, we have a motion to move the vote to next meeting.
You may have all five of you.
Well, we'll have all five here. Because I can tell you this, if I can read faces, for everybody, that's the smartest thing to do, okay? There's enough been said tonight and what people are concerned about. And frankly, some of what you're concerned about, again, there's some other questions that I think are valid. Okay? People keep asking me, which side am I on? I'm on the side of Trump. That's the side I'm on. What do you think? We move this to next time or not?
I say we move to the next.
Okay, vote on that? Chair will entertain a motion to move the vote on the rezoning.
If you leave it in the posture of the hearing being, if you reopen the public hearing and then take that action, you could hear updates, additional.
Okay.
Okay.
So we
Just recess?
recess
Yes.
the hearing.
Okay, just recess to hearing.
That way you at least have the option
Okay.
to hear from whoever might be and come up with whatever.
The chair will entertain a motion to recess this hearing until the May meeting.
Didn't he make a motion?
I made that motion.
He's got to read all.
But we had to have
Yeah.
the recess.
Oh, yeah, I make a motion that we recess the public hearing.
Okay. All right,
That's it.
all those in favor, aye? Votes likewise, motion carries. All right. Now, I know many of you would like to go home and eat, so before we move to the next thing, I'm gonna give you a couple minutes if you'd like to leave. If you'd like to go buy some hamburgers and bring them back, we can eat them. Okay. We're now moving for a public hearing on Lake Lanier moratorium. Need a little explanation on that before we have people speaking.
The board, you want to take it?
It sounds like you got something ready to say.
Well, I'll just jump in, but you all asked us to draft a moratorium ordinance, which I did, and it's directed it to be just for 90 days. And that's what this does. And it's, anything that's underway already, it won't affect that, but any new, if you adopt this, any new applications will be put off until the end of that 90 days. And the purpose of the moratorium and what we're going to do during that time when it's kind of frozen is explore different ways that maybe that shoreline and the lake bed can be managed by somebody else. Greenville, maybe Greenville County, maybe this association they have set up over there, the owners. And also look at some of the language of the declarations, at the very least, that could be clarified in a way so we don't have inconsistent wacky results at the Board of Adjustment. So that in of itself would be something good to come out of this. So like I said, it's 90 days, and so this does what the board directed a month ago.
I mean, we gotta get a handful of rules out there. People break them, and we have no ability to enforce anything unless we hire a South Carolina attorney, and we take you to court one-on-one. Not as the Greenville County or the Lake Lanier homeowners really needs to grab hold of this and help manage this piece of lake and the safety out there. As it is now, there are no real rules. And Greenville County doesn't. They don't care. They just want your $1.6 million in tax revenue every year.
And maybe before we I know before the two of you built something they weren't supposed to. Everybody go to South Carolina, get you a judge, I'm gonna get you a lawyer, and we went and sued. The judge basically said, oh, he's already built it, so let him keep it. So we dropped $14,000 or $15,000 of my taxpayers' money in South Carolina and basically got laughed at. So I love y'all, but from the way it is right now, I don't have a lot of sympathy because you got people taking advantage of you and us.
And we need to worry about the dam.
Yeah.
We don't need to be worried about what's being built on Third Basin.
Most of what's gonna happen is you're looking between $8 and $10 million.
9 million for the.
9 million. And again, I love y'all, but
9
I don't
million
see
for what?
to replace the dam, we have
Fix the
to.
dam.
So we're on the dam now, not the moratorium.
No, but this is why we're looking for the moratorium to help pass this information away.
Are we having public comment or?
Yes.
And is there a list to speak?
Yeah, yes, I'm getting ready to start calling on it.
Okay.
Okay.
I do just want to jump in. Jim and I do have a meeting on Wednesday, May 6th with the Greenville County Building and Floodplain Department. So that's already locked in. We're getting
Okay,
started.
ladies and gentlemen,
Coach, I'd like to add my name to that list if I could.
why didn't you put it here earlier?
Yeah, I could have put it on earlier, but I didn't put it on earlier. I'd like to put it on now, if that's okay.
I would say, I would vote to limit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recognize it.
I don't recognize it.
This is the pass. You'll get 2 minutes. I'll call on you. Okay. Again, whatever, no personal attacks, the same type of thing's been said in the past. All right, start off, Brian Carey.
All right, I'm in Little Italy at the lake. I came here to get more information about what the moratorium is about, because we know what happened in the Third Basin. And prior to that appeal, I had to amend my dock and cut part of it off. And that appeal wasn't handled properly as far as procedures. I didn't present first, somebody just was in the audience presented first. So after y'all have these conversations with Greenville County, I know y'all are trying to pass it off because y'all have no ability to enforce it in another state. But I don't know how the association can enforce it, it's not their property.
Got $1?
Huh? I've heard that many a time. I'm sorry, I'm Berlin. I assume after you have this moratorium and you come out with more information, you'll have a second public hearing or something of that nature to share the information gleaned.
I assume
That's what it says. It says that somewhere in this ordinance document that, that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna come back and
Well, whatever
present
we
it to the
come
board
up with,
again.
you will get because it affects you. Period. I can't think of any reason why we wouldn't.
Okay. Well, that's all I have, and I didn't know everything about the moratorium to begin with.
Can probably tell you the same as I said last time, everybody won't be happy about it, but we're tired, and I hate to say this, but in a sense, some prior people, like we're being used. We had a gentleman down there who's passed away that for probably 5 months, all he ever did was come and complain, but he never paid any tax here, didn't really want any water here, did all kinds of things down there that he probably shouldn't have done. And we just, I'm sorry, after the 15,000, I said, I'll never spend another dime that way.
Well, you can tell by my belly, I paid a lot of tax here.
Okay, thank you, sir. John?
Sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you all for calling this. I think the moratorium is a good idea to give pause to what's going on, because right now it's like a hot potato. Y'all don't want it, Greenville County doesn't want it, it's not fair to the landowners. We have no way of enforcing anything, okay? So we could buy it from the town for $1, how are we gonna enforce it? Unless some entity like Greenville County, which makes the most sense, can have the enforcement. What do they get out of it? well, they're already getting tax revenue out of it. They have to give you the water rights, but somewhere there has to be incentive for them to do it, right? So I think I'm the president of the LLCA. We're here, we're all concerned, we're landowners. We've all got a lot of money invested in property there. You want the water, we want you to fix the dam, we want to keep the lake. So we're in support of the moratorium, or at least the board is, and to explore those options and see what our options are. And if the LLCA can do anything to help that, we're on board. Tim has been great. We'll do anything we can do, but we need someone to have our back. And I understand where you're coming from. You're spending money and not getting anything in return. I understand that frustration. So, thank you.
And it wouldn't be so bad, except technically we own the bottom, which means we own the water. We can't even put a boat on it.
Yeah.
That's a bitter pill.
Yeah.
Well, I just put my name down because I just didn't know what was going on. I'm his wife, and I agree with everything he said. I would just say that when that whole fiasco in Third Basin happened, I spoke a lot with the Greenville County floodplain folks. Brian Bishop had left, Kelly left. It didn't make any sense to me that Greenville County had y'all's restrictions and they couldn't enforce them. Made no sense to me, but there you have it. So we're in support of a win-win for everybody.
Thank you. Is that part of the area, South Fire District too?
Yeah, our whole fair, we go all the way around the lake.
My point there being that you get so little service from your state that you're willing to pay us to make sure we can get that empty put it out.
Yeah.
And we don't mind that because it helps us buy better equipment for everybody. Okay. Kevin Lynch?
Thank you for the opportunity. I, again, came primarily to understand, and I'm a past president of the LLCA, and we've always had good communications, and it has always been very difficult because everybody does pass the buck. Even when people go through the correct procedures and apply for a Town of Tryon permit, and then apply for a Greenville County permit, that has always been a contentious and difficult process to even get the two to communicate, get people to follow up with inspections, and I think historically that's been difficult. So the opportunity to have this, to look at a better way going forward is, I think, very much appreciated by most of the property owners. And just speaking to what John said so well, the LLCA is an association, it's not an HOA, so we really don't have any governing force or teeth, so to speak. That's been looked at and evaluated a number of times. That doesn't mean it could not be done going forward. But then once again, we get into what we heard earlier tonight. You have some who do and some who do not. But we certainly are willing to talk about it, to work with you in any way we can to make that process better. So thank you.
Okay, and sometimes people come in and know what they're doing. I know we had at least one case, maybe more than one, Tim. Someone came here and got a permit to repair probably a boathouse or a pier. And the next thing we know, they've gone to Greenville County and got approval to build a living space, within a living space.
Oh, you're talking about the Third Basin thing we just did?
That may have been it, but.
Well, that one they kind of just did.
That might not have been that one, but it was one. And that's the one we lost like $14,000 or $15,000, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, Greenville County says they won't let a living space over the floodplain, but.
Public comment, please.
Okay. Alan Smith? Yes, sir.
Worst job I ever had, paid zero. Anyway, I grew up in Tryon. Lake Lanier is very dear to my heart. Family owned a boathouse there for many years. I worked at Scout Camp for 8 summers, lived over there. And so I'm a Tryon and a Lake Lanier. And I am a Foothills Fire Commissioner. Yeah, there's 100 and something, you might know the exact number, of money that's given by Greenville County to the Tryon Fire Department. And
I have a lot of experience, 30 years nearly in lending, real estate lending, worked with subdivisions and restrictions. I don't have time to go through it. I can tell you right now, Greenville County's got the hammer. We pay taxes to Greenville County. You issue an encroachment permit. Let's just for a second pretend, and I think this is where everybody gets confused. You are a property owner. When you issue that, it's a property. Think of like a subdivision that has restrictions and all. Then, when the county has a building permit, they have to come out. Greenville County is South Carolina. We pay taxes. They have to inspect these properties whether they want to or not. My proposal, and I'd be glad to sit down, I could come up with it. You issue an encroachment permit, they gotta get the Greenville County permit. And then there's a process, but inspect. In the last 80% of stuff built over there is not within your encroachment guidelines, which are very reasonable. We have to write them. They make sense for everybody and they protect the lake. I'm for doing that. I would do it for free. Limited time, of course. I'm retired and very busy. But I would. I know how we could set up inspections and what you do in Greenville County. In the past, Greenville County did stop work orders on properties that were being violating Triumph's encroachment permit. It can be done. It just takes follow-up and make Greenville County do what they're supposed to do. And I'd be willing to help.
Thanks, sir. Esther?
Oh, really good, so, remember, I'm trying to think. So I really have a question. What need does Tryon have to maintain ownership of the lake?
What means?
What need?
Water.
What
Oh,
happens?
why do we own the lake bottom?
No, what purpose do you have in owning the lake bottom? In other words,
None.
what? Go ahead.
I don't, it came with the real estate.
So if you don't pay the taxes and Greenville County has to take it back and.
We don't pay.
Oh, yes, I do.
We pay 10 cents on every fish that is counted.
Yeah, and honestly, we've tried to sell it for $1. All we want is some water rights so that people can get it. Nobody's interested, and the people of the lake now getting upset because what we've been seeing is now encroaching on the, and it has been for a while. And I don't know how it's gonna stop. I thought we ought to say, okay, wildlife game, South Carolina, let them put fish in it, get game the ones that other people out there, nobody's interested. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with the dock debacle.
Well,
but
a board 30 years ago, whatever it was, agreed to buy that for $1, I guess it was.
Yeah.
So that they could sell a meal here in town. And that was it. And so we've been paying for it ever since.
I mean, is there a possibility of buying a parcel of land to make it available for its owners to access the lot?
Oh, well, we have the dam. I mean, we have a kayak dock we installed, but we pulled it out.
Why?
And I'm still asking that question.
It's too close to the intake.
That's what I'm
Technically, it wasn't
referring
legal.
to, the line debacle.
Okay.
We didn't have a great plan.
Okay.
What's that?
Esther, you got anything else?
Yeah, I mean, if you want access to it, and that's really the only benefit that you're gonna get from ownership, and you have to go and get a permit from Greenville County, then move forward to get a permit from Greenville County. Or consider buying a different pot of, area of land if it becomes available that has lakefront access. Then you can, you can find a
Like we're flush with cash.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we already own the second largest piece of real estate on the lake.
Listen, ideas are cheap, execution is not.
Thank you.
Thank
All right. You have a comment?
I do. I know you're getting old.
Getting old. I just had a birthday recently. And I was born in the old St. Luke's Hospital.
It shows.
Where were you born?
I was born in.
Yeah, okay. And I've lived in Tryon and worked in Tryon all my life. And my family bought property on Lake Lanier in 1959 and built a cottage and a boathouse in 1960 and still have it, and my family loves the heck out of it. our place and the places around us are all built within the regulations. And it looks to me like the problem is that some of our local contractors, they know all the rules and regulations, but they exceed them. They get paid for it, so they build it bigger. And the moratorium, I think, is necessary to come up with some new plans so we have oversight on the contractors and the people that come into the area that want to build something new and different. So we need to keep an eye on them, and maybe we can come up with some new rules and regulations and maybe shift more of it to Greenville County. My 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Beatrice, is it Sandon? Did someone leave?
Probably.
Peggy?
So, I'm a local builder on the lake. I've built 12 structures. 9 of them have been design built on the lake. I've worked with Tim for years. We did our first one over there in 2015. And so I've been doing it from that point on. The zoning, to me, has been very, very relaxed. It's not like anything else that we've done in any other county. We're not required to provide any as-built drawings to get our CO. They don't inspect our zoning whenever we come out there and build something. So we produce, I come up here, I give a zoning permit to him. The Town of Tryon zoning permit application on the back page has a space that you can napkin draw in your dock and stuff like that in a real rudimentary way, is what y'all saw whenever the last meeting where they were talking in the quasi-judicial hearing. They were referencing these drawings on the big screen. And not having any as-built drawings is a big thing that I see a problem with. Not having any inspection to prove it. Like when we work in Lake Lure and we get done, they take our zoning down and we provide as-built that comes from, they plumb the eave all the way down to the bottom. And that's how they go about checking what we do and stuff like that. Nothing is being checked on any of the jobs that I've done on over there after Greenville County comes and provides a CO, as far as what that happens. And I feel like a lot of it is that you haven't empowered the LLCA to the fullest extent. And I feel like you should give them the ability to act as an architectural committee. And I think that you should let there be an architectural review done like a board would have in an HOA before these permits get issued from the Town of Tryon zoning. I think there should be as-built after they're done to clarify that we as contractors do what we're supposed to do. And so I wanted to say that about it. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks, Peggy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peggy. As long as we're waiting on the moratorium, Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to.
Enforce the moratorium or activate the moratorium. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed likewise, motion carries.
Can I ask one question? What if someone applies for a Greenville County permit in this period of time?
We'll make sure.
Is somebody notify Greenville County that that's not possible?
Yes.
Thank you.
Are we keeping the parking orders?
Before you get to that, I guess one suggestion I had, just listening to everybody. When Tim and I go to Greenville to meet with the planning department and representatives from Greenville, we're property owners, representing Town of Tryon, but we're not voters or taxpayers. We're taxpayers, but not voters. It might be helpful to have Tim, if we had one of the board members from the Lake Lanier LLCA go attend with us, would that be a problem?
No, I mean, we'll coordinate.
Okay.
What's the date?
Uh,
May 6th?
Wednesday, May 6th.
I think that'd be a plus.
Well, I started to say that as taxpayers, because we all pay Greenville County
Well,
taxes.
so we do too, but we're not voters, you are.
Yes. Right.
And I think we had that at the table, that would help.
Yeah.
Okay. 8, where are we with the parking windows?
Oh, we're talking about Vista now?
Yes.
Okay, so regarding the Vista Terrace parking ordinance, after talking to William for a bit, we discussed, he believes our nuisance ordinance, junk abandoned vehicle ordinance, is woefully inadequate for, as it stands right now, so I'm gonna make a staff suggestion to scrap the current single-family parking ordinance that we've been working on and work with him to tweak the nuisance ordinance to allow for you guys to have a lot more teeth in deeming certain situations as a nuisance instead of just doing this blanket ordinance all over everything, because doing the blanket ordinance may trigger some other, it might put other people's yards in non-compliance.
So if I understand, we're gonna drop this, rework.
We're trying to come at it from a different angle.
And work it in?
Yeah.
Okay. We don't need to do anything with this except,
Just move on to the next item.
okay. Item 10, resolution for review of single tourism development authority for Polk County, NC.
Did we previously do 9?
Oh, wait.
9 was moved to consent.
Oh, we moved 9 up to the consent. Okay.
Item 10 is, Polk County and the 3 towns are sort of unique on the occupancy tourism tax we have. Currently, the 3 towns have their own tourism authority with 3% tax, and the county's got their 3%. Most counties have united as one tourism throughout North Carolina, and so Tryon and Saluda and Columbus have been meeting informally, but we want to go back to the respective councils and get a blessing that we'd like to continue and formalize this review and come back to you with a recommendation. This is strictly a resolution acknowledging the, looking at potential consolidation. In Polk County, we could support it, but they want each town to review it and make a recommendation that we want to move forward with that idea.
Council, questions?
I think it's a good idea. I mean,
Is Polk County, would we be merged with them also and be getting their tourism money as
Yeah,
well?
all the money, actually, from experience, the counties I've worked in before, like in Transmedia County, they control all the 6% tax, but they also promoted the county and the first largest city over there was Brevard. And so they had enough money to make contributions to the Coosa Trail. They had enough money to promote commerce and tourism. They also gave grants back to the respective towns to promote tourism activities. So currently, our tourism budget is dropped down to like $29,000 proposed for next year, which is the lowest it's been ever. But they're living off fund balance because the occupancy tax isn't that much. And so from the town's perspective, why should we be trying to marketing our individual towns when the county, big bucket of money, can do it for everybody?
Yeah, no, I like
And then you'd have a board with representatives from Tryon, Saluda, Columbus, and the county on that board along with tourism folks. So in larger counties, or neighboring counties, it's worked very well for them. So we'd like to bring back the pros and the cons of that consolidation, but we'd like to formalize it that the 3 towns will take a vote on this month to start this process and come back to you.
So my question would be, I mean, we say support a formal review of the pros and cons. I'm for that, but this leaves it open-ended. Is it gonna take 6 months, a year?
it's the county, who knows?
That's the problem.
Basically,
If we don't give them an open book, if they can't get it done by X
I think it'll move fairly quick. I think the Polk County.
But I would like to see a time
Yeah.
limit in the resolution.
Okay, let's add, with 90 days max, or whatever.
If that works, yeah.
Okay, we'll add 90 days.
I mean, I think we're too, I don't like all these open-ended that.
Well, I think,
Welcome to government.
I remember I worked in government for 35 years. We didn't do it like this. I'm sorry.
well, I think.
Your department, I had a comment, I better not. I've seen how government work recently.
Well, I
That
didn't
all that
work
happened
under,
after you left, right?
all that happened during the current administration, so, yeah.
The only
Are we
hiccup on
okay
this
with the resolution within how many days?
was 90 days.
90 days. Okay,
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, likewise, motion carries. Item 11, budget amendment number 3.
Mr. Mayor, we don't
Thank you.
disturb
Thank you for
anything,
coming
but
down.
we're out. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
This is the Mayor mentioned, the third budget amendment. Sanitation fund, it's a small budget amendment, but we have like $7,000 additional money coming in. And tipping fees have gone up this year, so we'd like to amend the budget for $7,000. And then the water and sewer fund, we'd like to amend the budget. And water and sewer charges are running better than budget. That's $135,000 as a source of revenue. And also too, we transferred $60,000 from the utility fund to the Helene Utilities Project Fund to deal with Helene. We got the $60,000 back from FEMA, plus additional $93,000 to pay for all the generators that were running for 9 to 11 days. So we actually made a little bit more extra money. So there's no need to dip in the fund balance, we're turning that money back. And then the water distribution budget, sewer plant, water plant, sewer collections are all being amended for a total of $228,000. One of the problems when we adopt our budget each year, when you have a town with aging infrastructure and aging equipment, you get your budget balanced, but if something breaks, you gotta amend the budget. And the sewer plant has been waiting a long, long time for money to be invested in that plant. And I'm pleased to report that with that resolution you passed tonight, we're going after a considerable amount of money, some sewer plant projects through this grant we turned in on April 30th. And that's one of the reasons why we amend the budget is when you have major breakdowns, you have to address that issue. And the last one, the fire department, they got a grant earlier this year for amending the budget to allow them to spend additional money in their budget for the grant. So those are the three items: sanitation fund, water and sewer, and the fire department.
Questions? Chair will entertain a motion to pass the resolution.
I make the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed likewise, motion carries. Item 13.
13 is Tim, downtown.
Oh, yes, this is Lourdes's update. Earth Day cleanup will be held on April 22nd. Volunteers are asked to meet at the plaza at 9 a.m. Try on April Fools was a big success. We had a great turnout, great weather, and wonderful participants. Backwoods Bidet won the outhouse race. Grateful to the Tryon Bottle, Wild Petunias, Tryon Bookshelf, Hypnotic Massage Sleep Boutique, and Bucks for contributing to the winner's prizes. We were featured on Access Carolina for a morning segment on March 27th as well, highlighting the April Fool's event. Tryon Fire Department, in partnership with Harmon Field, hosted a community Easter egg hunt at Harmon Field on Saturday, April 4th. This inaugural event was well attended and successfully executed, providing an enjoyable experience for families and children throughout the community. The event was well planned and with an appropriate number of Easter eggs to accommodate participants and ensure a positive experience for all attendees. The town extends a special appreciation to the Easter Bunny, who added a memorable and festive element to the event and brought smiles to children. I only scared 4 kids.
And adults.
I'm up 2 this year. I only made 4 kids cry. And families in attendance. The strong turnout and positive community response indicate this event was a meaningful addition to Tryon's seasonal programming. Salute to Grade Rail Trail Advisory Group will host a spring forum on April 23rd from 5:30 to 7:30 at Polk County High School. All are invited to attend. Jim and Lourdes will have a table set up highlighting Tryon, and she has been asked to speak at the forum highlighting the economic impact of the trail to Tryon. And we have a street closure request for Mirabal Gallery on June 28th from 9 to 7 p.m. For Depot Street for their Pride Festival. So we'll
Cheryl made a motion to close Depot.
I'll make a motion.
From 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
I'll make a
No
motion.
motion, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion carries. Town manager report.
Just wanted to update you, I did go to DC, thank you for sending me up here. I think the trip up there was very successful. We spent almost an hour with Congressman Chuck Edwards at he had us meet at a conference room adjacent to the Appropriations Committee room in a different building. So we got to take the underground shortcut to get from building A to building B. And he was very warm and receptive. He did say that he was going to recommend or include in his appropriation $3 million for the Saluda Great Trail for the portion on the Saluda side. And he was a big supporter of the Coosa Trail when I was over in Brevard. We also met, the next meeting right after that, we met with Congressman Tim Moore. He's now picked up this area as his new district. He hasn't really been over to Tryon, Mayor, so we need to get him over here. He did say that he's heard a lot of great things about downtown and side street pizza, and he wants to come over and maybe have lunch with you. But we lobbied him about $3 million request. He's going to consider it, but he did have one recommendation that he is going to work with Senator Tom Tillis for full funding from him as well. And I guess Chuck McGrady, they served together with Tom Tillis, and Chuck's been a big supporter of the Coosa Trail, and he's been coming to the Saluda Great Trail meeting, so he's already contacted Tom Tillis on that. We did meet with Tom Tillis' staff. We had, before we left though, we had like an hour Zoom call with Tillis' staff to lobby for $3 million as well. We also shared with all three of them the RISE grant application. As you know, Senator Lindsey Graham obtained like $8 million or so for money for the South Carolina side. The grant application is going to be for $10 million, $5 million for South Carolina side, and $5 million on the North Carolina side. And we're going to use Lindsey's previous money to show strong support for both sides. So that's part of the Appalachian Regional Council grant application process. We're going to turn in by May 31st. But overall, it was a good trip. It was hot up there, 95 degrees. 24,000 steps later and back. It was a lot of walking. But that's pretty much my report. And earlier we talked about the resolutions. Staff has been working diligently trying to take advantage of these grant applications with these deadlines of April 30th and so forth. I'm excited about applying for many grants because it's like applying for a job. You don't rely on just one. We may get a grant on one and we can cancel another one if we don't need it, but
we need it.
But one thing about this town is the first project when I came back in 23 was a clear well at the water plant. And I asked our previous engineer to work on that project, and they never did anything on it. And so I was pretty firm on one of this project in this group because the water plant and sewer plant have waited the longest, in my opinion, for any improvements, and it's about time we got some money for them as well. So that's pretty much my report. If you have any questions.
Okay, council, we'll start with Bill, Tracy, Julie, and then me.
Thank y'all all for coming. Thank you, staff. I'm done. I'm starving.
And I do appreciate everybody coming out, but it was a
turnout tonight, and some very important issues that we've discussed tonight, and there's no real clear answer, because none of us have the crystal ball, but I think we just need to make a very informed decision on what goes on everything. Anytime we seek to change ordinances, we need to look not just at the here and now, but in the future as much as we can. So, but thank you, everyone.
Thanks to everyone, the full house we have here now, for coming out, and the Easter egg hunt. I showed up at the very end, but the staff, on a Saturday, this is like the best town.
As a parent, it was a great Easter egg hunt.
It was a hot Easter egg, huh?
So thanks everyone. Glad to have Jim back.
Again, thanks, and particularly the staff and for the board. Thank you for looking out for the future of Toronto. For 21 years, I've been trying to keep it as much as possible like it was in the past. Not necessarily inside, not necessarily the same people, but what we sell is Toronto. Not many people have that. When you get here to Toronto, it's the people, it's the little town, the quaintness, and then you sit and talk for a while. Right after I moved, I went, God, these people have been everywhere, they've done everything, they've retired. So whatever you need, brain-wise, capability-wise, it's somewhere nearby. So, best place I ever lived is why I'm still here. You're here. And on May 9th, we're hosting the state semifinal track meet at Polk County High School. Come out and give you money and watch the track run. If not, send us a check. We appreciate it. We need it. Citizen comments?